reassured, but we are very happy about the number of the many of you who decided to join our meeting today. It's reassuring to see how many of you decided to take action and start thinking about implementing climate action in your institutions. My name is Shahar Sadeh. I'm the director of Adamah New York. Let me share my screen and we can start. All right, so before we even start, I want to thank all of you for joining and our partners from UJA-Federation of New York, and especially Annette Powers and Khan, and my colleagues from the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition, Becky, Obrian, and Stacey Abrams, who are here supporting and promoting and doing everything to make this a successful webinar. At Adamah New York, we are second logistics. Okay, here at Adamah New York, we are the leading community impact hub of Adamah, the largest Jewish environmental organization. We inspire and empower people and institutions to feel and act on the deep connection between people and planet, Adam and Adamah. We're catalyzing culture change and systemic change through Jewish environmental education, climate action, youth empowerment, and immersive retreats. Here in New York, one of the main things we're tasked to do, and today is part of what we're doing, is to support Jewish institutions such as yours to help them transition to a better, more sustainable management of their institution and to understand, develop, and implement climate action, and I'll get to what it is in a second. Part of what we're doing here at Adamah New York is not just climate action. We have a very sweet Jewish youth climate movement with 18 chapters here in New York out of the almost 70 chapters they have around the United States. If you're interested, I highly encourage you to reach out to us, learn more about it, and think about opening a chapter, a kibitza, in your institutions. We have them in synagogues, day schools, and JCCs. Another thing I will not talk about is some of the community events and in-person workshops we have. Here in the picture, you can see a cheeseless cheesecake session we had as part of the Tikkun Leil Shavuot last month. A climate summit that hosted over 100 people in person at Central Synagogue. And in the picture here, a few Jewish politicians from Manhattan that came to speak about decarbonizing the city and the role of the Jewish community as part of it. We have an upcoming event for synagogues in Long Island, so many more events to come. But we're focused today on the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition and the climate action. This coalition brings together organizations who recognize the existential threat and moral urgency of climate change and commit to taking action. I will not go to it in length because many of you on the call today are already members of the coalition and have heard this spiel before. And for those who are not, we encourage you to join and then you'll hear the full story and explanations. I will go briefly and say a few words about it. While reducing, and this is the main thing for the coalition, we want to reduce the carbon footprint of our collective Jewish community. And while reducing the greenhouse gas emission alone will not save the world, our community collective action can be extremely significant. We must mobilize our collective power and resources to commit to climate action and to do it right now. And what's Jewish about it? We can also spend a lot of time talk about that, but I will say that the global climate crisis represents an historic inflection point of our planet, our communities, and our people. and the Jewish tradition compels us to act. It's not just about tikkun olam, it's about the do no harm command as well. And of course, it goes beyond just that. What we do today actually matters, and our action will have a ripple effect forward in time. And it's our responsibility to face this crisis with the full energy, resiliency, and resources of us as a community. And taking climate action, excuse me, not only helps to mitigate the global climate crisis, it can also bring our organization significant benefits, such as cost savings and meaningful engagement opportunities for community members of all ages. And I want to emphasize that surveys show that climate change is an important issue for Jews of all ages. That 67% of the Gen Z youth and 71% of the millennials, for them, climate is a top priority. Young people today feel more deeply than anyone else that if we fail to take significant action now, the world we will be passing to our children and grandchildren will be far more unstable for Jewish life and for human life than the world of today. And I personally think it's not as stable as we would want it anyway. So committing to climate action is a powerful way to demonstrate to our young people that our organization acknowledge and is responding to their concerns. So I encourage you to think about that aspect as you contemplate climate action. Going back to the coalition, what is the coalition? It's a group of organizations, and now we have over 360 organizations that have joined the coalition. Over 70 of them are in New York and in the UJA catchment area. And we collectively are the largest communal effort the Jewish community has ever seen to mobilize a response to the climate crisis. The coalition is bringing together Jewish organizations from across the United States, and we want to leverage the collective influence and resources of our community and model in our behavior scalable and replicable climate action that will bring about our shared vision for a healthier and more sustainable world for all. And here you can see the founding partners of the coalition that 2 years ago in September 2022 launched. And I'm assuming that each of you can associate themselves one way or the other with at least one organization, if not many, many more. Joining the coalition is very easy. There is, first of all, no cost to joining it. Members need to commit to two main things. First, to designate a staff liaison to lead their climate work. And the second is to develop and implement climate action plans. These are very simple roadmaps for your institution, in which you're yearly reporting on what has been done to date, what set of goals you're putting yourself for the next year. And I have to say that this is an ongoing process. It's not an all or nothing process. We are not expecting coalition to get to net zero emission in a year or not even 5 years, and I'll elaborate about that. But this climate action plan helps you set your goals for the upcoming year. Climate action, what is it? We are usually talking about two main types of work. One, which the coalition is mostly focused on, is getting to net zero emission. And as I said, it's over time. We're not expecting anyone to, we would love that, but we're not expecting anyone to get to net zero tomorrow. The New York City put 2040 as its date to be net zero, and we're hoping we can get there sooner. So the four solutions that through each organization can ultimately achieve net zero greenhouse gas emission are sourcing clean energy, meaning purchasing clean electricity from the grid, or produce your own with solar. The second is to go electric. Make the plan that documents all the non-electric appliances that you have, such as a boiler, and when they will expire, and start planning now for how to replace them with an electric version. Further reduce your emission in different ways: energy efficiency, food waste, transportation, and more, and offset emissions that you cannot reduce. Once you join the coalition, you will hear much more about how to go about each of those four ways. The second thing is, and I'm not elaborating much about it today, is the expanding impact, how you're taking the work to the community beyond your facility. Okay, how to educate people, what to do about advocacy, and so on. We, the coalition, are here to serve you. That's the only reason that the coalition exists. So what we want to do is help you and hold your hand and do whatever it takes to support you in this important process. We have resource guides on our website for coalition members. We have seminars, workshops, one-on-one coaching and consultation, monthly newsletter, networking and collaboration through the community of practice. I'll say that community of practice meets 4 times a year, and those are your affinity groups within the coalition. So we have a community of practice for synagogues, community of practice for day school, a community of practice for JCCs, for Hillels, and so forth. So 4 times a year, you get to network and understand what others in your position and in your type of organizations are doing. And this is a very meaningful opportunity for you to hear what is going on. We have local opportunities, and here at New York, we have done a bunch of webinars. All of them are online, so I encourage you to go and explore them. We have doubled down on climate action financing, how to implement the great ideas that all of you have. What are the ways to get support from local, federal, and state organizations? So this is also online. And the last but not least, it's our Adamah Climate Action Fund and the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund. This specific fund that we will elaborate on today, and we just launched, is specifically for synagogues, day schools, and yeshivot. I know some of you on the call might not be under this category. You're welcome to stay on and listen to this, and also to the options to apply for loans that is relevant for everyone. But the launch of the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund with our partners at UJA-Federation is focused on the 3 types of institutions I mentioned. And I have to say that there is a myth that climate action is expensive, but the truth is that inaction in the face of climate change, it is more expensive. We do recognize that sometimes there are upfront costs that can be a barrier, and this is why we are starting, and we have had this financial support in the form of interest-free loans and the matching grant. This is what you came to hear. So with that, I want to turn to thank you and turn to Annette Powers from UJA, Director of Synagogue Engagement, who will share with us why is UJA investing so much, not only to Adamah New York, but you guys with supporting this funding.
Thank you so much, Shahar. We are very proud at UJA to be partnering with Adamah on this initiative and several other initiatives. One of UJA's strategic goals is to help organizations in our catchment area, which is New York City, Long Island, and Westchester, become more energy efficient, become more green. Also, just to help, especially in this endeavor, day schools and synagogues with building their capacity. And hopefully this initiative will allow day schools and synagogues to get a start on some of these projects that will eventually save them a lot of money. So investing a little bit now will save you a lot of money in the future. I'm really grateful, as I said, to Shahar, to Becky and Stacy from Adamah, and also to my colleagues from UJA, Javi Khan, who's the Director of Day School Strategy, and Andrea Fleischacker, Deputy Director at in the Jewish Life Department, and Sophia Cohen, who's the coordinator and works with us in Day School Strategy and Synagogue Strategy. I also am very grateful to our leadership, our lay leaders who have made this a priority, who have decided that energy efficiency in our institutions, in our Jewish institutions all around New York and the area are very important. So it's really a partnership here with Adamah, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here. Turning it back over to you, Becky.
Hi, thank you everyone for being here. I wish you a good afternoon, and I just want to start by saying I'm holding two feelings right now. I'm in Colorado. I live on the Front Range, and in the last day or two, we've had three wildfires break out, all very close by outside my house. There's a lot of smoke, and it smells like smoke, and it's really sad to think about what's burning right now. And so climate change feels very real to me. And I sometimes feel hopeless, but when I feel hope, it's based in action. And that all of you are on here today because you have intentions of taking action fills me with hope. And that's hope particularly today that I need. So I'm really grateful that you're all here to learn about the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund. And so I'm excited to tell you all about that. You can see that at this, while this New York fund is new, the Adamah's Climate Action Fund is something that's been around for about a year and a half now. And we have several organizations who have received nearly $200,000 in grants and almost $550,000 in interest-free loans to reduce their greenhouse gas emissions. And I really hope that many of you will join this illustrious group in the coming months. So to be eligible for the Climate Action Fund, there's a few things that you need to know. It is open only to members of the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition and those who are in good standing. What does it mean to be in good standing? It's very simple. There's just two things that are required of you when you join the coalition. When you're a coalition member, all organizations must attend an orientation. We offer them monthly, as well as you can schedule one-on-one if that's necessary. And so that's something that can happen right after you join. It takes an hour, not a big deal. And then every organization is submitting a climate action plan. And I know this looks confusing, but I'll just explain it. Climate action plans are due every year in the month leading up to Tu B'Shvat. And for organizations who join October 1st or later, we know that they will have only been in the coalition for about 3 months before that deadline. And so it is optional to submit a climate action plan at that point. So the point is that organizations who've joined prior to last October 1st, 2023, must have submitted a climate action plan this Tu B'Shvat, this January 2024. And that's a requirement to be in good standing. For organizations who've joined after October 1st of last year, your first one isn't due until next January. That's after the application deadline for this fund. So if you haven't submitted one and that's when you've joined, or you haven't even joined yet, it is not due before this grant application is due. And so this just doesn't apply to you. And then this application, however, this application's deadline is November 8th, which I'll get into a little bit more in a minute. But so you know that if you join after October 1st, it's not even due till 2026. But again, it doesn't matter in terms of the application deadline. So that's the two things. And then if anyone on this call or any applicant is actually received a grant or loan recipient from us already in the past, you are in fact able to reapply, but you must have completed all the required grant or loan reporting requirements. And so as long as that's been done, you're a member in good standing. Another important thing to know is that this is for new projects. If there are things that you've already started, you already have a signed contract to complete, or have already been completed, those are not eligible. Then,
Becky, can you just reiterate the timeline? There's a little bit of confusion.
oh, sure. The main thing to understand is to be, if you joined the coalition before October 1st, 2023, you must have submitted a climate action plan this past January. Nobody else has to have submitted a climate action plan. That's the simple thing to understand. So that's it. If you have joined after October 1st, 2023, or have not yet even joined, you will not have to have submitted a climate action plan prior to the deadline, application deadline for this. Thank you, Stacy. So just a couple of other factors that we consider is that the whole agenda with this fund is for Jewish organizations to reduce their emissions. And so that is one of the primary things that we are looking at with your application, with your project. We also are looking for organizations that are financially stable. We really want to make sure that organizations are maximizing the rebates and other funding resources available to them. And we are assessing the likelihood of the project moving forward. That we feel like, yes, this is where we to award this money. This is a project that would be completed. So as Shahar shared, there are many ways that you can be reducing your emissions, that you can be taking climate action. The good news about joining the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition is we distill all the science, all the data, all the internet, all the things in the world, and we put them on 2 pages. Yay, you're welcome. So this is what we suggest to members of the Jewish Climate Leadership Coalition to do. It's these 2 pages. It doesn't like, what do I have to do? Go look all over the internet. I saw this article. I read this thing. We condensed it all. And these are the areas in which we recommend Jewish organizations take action. It is not the case that you need to do all of these things. And in fact, there's no organization for whom all these things would even apply or be possible in day 1 or year 1. But you look on here and find the things that are relevant for you that you can move on, and we will support you in doing that. This box that's circled here on the getting to net zero emissions side, those are the ones that the Climate Action Fund provides grants and loans to support. So it is these things under sourcing clean electricity, going electric, and energy efficiency. So what are those kinds of projects? What could that even be? And we'll share even some more examples later, but sourcing clean electricity is essentially installing on-site solar or geothermal. You could also be purchasing it. That is an option that is available, and one that we would most recommend for organizations who are, for whatever reason, are not able to install it on site due to perhaps tremendous shade on your roof or certain things like that. Going electric, as Shahar shared, equipment upgrades to the most efficient and lowest emissions technology available. This includes for your HVAC, water heaters, dryers, etc. And we want to be really clear that we do not fund any fossil fuel powered equipment. So we understand that upgrading an old furnace that's maybe 30, 40 years old and highly inefficient to a new fossil fuel furnace is an improvement in your use of fossil fuels, but we are here to fund people going to the most efficient and lowest emissions technology available, which is electric-based options. So I wanted to be really clear about that. And then there's many, many things that you could be doing around energy efficiency, insulation, lighting retrofits. We're seeing huge ROI on the lighting retrofits, smart technologies like programmable thermostats. And so these are the types of projects that we are funding. So some of the basic nuts and bolts. The 2 funds that many organizations on here are eligible to apply for in this round is the Adamah New York Climate Action Fund grant. And we are so grateful to UJA-Federation of New York for helping us establish that fund to make it available to you. You can apply for grants from $5,000 to $10,000. These grants are one-to-one matched by your organization. That means that we will not fund any more than 50% of a project. And you can match it even more. You may have a $50,000 project and ask for a $10,000 grant, but we will never fund more than 50% of your grant. How you match it is up to you. There's a wide range of ways for you to do that. This is open to synagogues, day schools, and yeshivot in New York City's 5 boroughs, Long Island and Westchester. And your projects must be completed by mid-August of next year. And we have on our timeline, so you know, our application deadline is November 8th, and we expect to make award notifications in mid to late December. So that is when you would know, and you would have from that time till mid-August to complete your project. We also have a North American Climate Loan Fund that is open to all members of the coalition, same application deadline. And these are for zero interest loans for up to $100,000. We technically don't have a minimum amount for the loans, but it is an elaborate application. Well, that's not really fair. It's the same as any loan application you might see, but that it's much more than a grant application. We do look for 2 personal guarantors. It's a 5-year payback. There's a 2% origination fee. And so many organizations may just not find this opportunity worthwhile until it hits a certain threshold. And same timeline that projects must be completed by mid-August. And you are welcome to apply for a grant and a loan for the same project. So that is something to keep in mind. So all the details on these funds are on the coalition members website. If you are a member of the coalition, you have access to that website already. If you are not a member of the coalition, what happens is that you will join and you will be invited to an orientation. When you attend the orientation, that is when we will introduce you to our entire program, let you know what to expect, and give you an orientation to that website and give you the information you need to be able to access it. And so here in big bold letters, the application deadline. And I wanted, excuse me. Whew. So next steps. If you're not already a coalition member, please join the coalition. And I wanted to flag that we do have info sessions. So if there are others in your organization who want to learn more about it and you'd like us to tell them about it or join you in telling them about it, they can attend one of our info sessions and we can schedule those with you one-on-one. And information about how to do that is on our adamah.org/coalition website. So you'll join the coalition. Again, attend an info session if that's something you need to do before you join. You'll then attend an orientation. And I really want to highlight that we get so many questions about this fund, and we created a really robust FAQ and document. And so on our website, once you're a coalition member, you will be able to access that. And of course, our staff are here to help you get answers to your questions as well. And so I just really want to highlight that we understand that a lot of these projects are nuanced. There may be questions or like, why is this a requirement? And we want to set you up for success. We want to give you these grants and these loans. We want to empower you to do these projects, get your emissions down, reduce your operating costs. And so we want to set you up for as much success as possible. So I really just wanted to highlight, check out those FAQs when you get the chance. Then simultaneously, what you can be doing is start thinking about what your project is. You don't have to wait till you're a member of the coalition to go ahead and be thinking about what is it that we could be doing here? What is the status of our equipment? Are we a candidate for solar? And a thing that I want to flag for you with that application deadline coming up is that we do require that you include 2 proposals from contractors who are going to be doing your project. Now, if you have a project where you have on-site staff who can do the implementation and you don't have contractors, then you don't need to do that. We'll want to see, like, if you're buying a bunch of new lighting, but your own internal staff are going to be able to do all the installation, then we don't need to see, you don't need to go and get proposals. We'll still need to see invoicing for the lights you're purchasing. And in fact, you very well may want to shop around for those lightings. Similar with appliances, you may want to shop around for appliances or vehicles, but then you don't have a contractor that you're hiring to put it in. Whereas maybe for certain lighting retrofits, electric work, for solar installations, you're certainly going to need proposals. And so those are things that you can go ahead and start rolling on even while you're doing the sign up and attending orientation process. I just wanted to flag that for you. And I'm excited to share here with you just a quick run through of some case studies. These are organizations who have received grants and or loans from Adamah already, so that you can see like what kind of projects they are and how the dollars and emissions measure out. This is the YM and YWHA of Washington Heights and Inwood out in your area, your neck of the woods. And they did a lighting retrofit, and it cost them, the overall project cost was about $25,000. They got a rebate from their utility for about half of that, $12,000. So they were left with $13,000. They got a $4,000 grant from us, and they are saving $2,000 in annual electricity savings. And so we went from 25 to 13 to 9. This is a project that is going to pay for itself in just about 4 years. And then every year from then on, they have $2,000 more in their budget that they can apply to their programming, to the things that really matter. They can be fulfilling their mission with that money. And meanwhile, with just changing the lights, you guys, a lot of you are really big institutions. They just changed their lights out, and it's the same impact as the energy use of 2 whole homes for an entire year. And these organizations are proud of what they're doing. And so they're feeling very mission aligned with this kind of work. So I wanted to give you a flavor of that. And then this is a synagogue in Southern California, and they did a lighting sensor installation. And it was so funny. Their executive director said it would just make her crazy. You can say here, every time I walked upstairs and found the room empty and lights on, my blood would boil. And she said to me, what kind of picture do I send with my final report? Like, I can't just send a picture of lights not being on. I'm like, that's exactly what you can send a picture of. That's the change that we are looking to fund here. And so, they say the cleanest kilowatt is the one you never even used. That's what energy efficiency is about. So this organization was for about $8,600 able to install these lighting sensors. We were able to cover 50% of that. We matched that with a $4,300 grant, and they are expecting to save $6,000 in annual electricity savings. I'm not sure about that number. I haven't checked with them a couple of times about that, but either way, they're definitely coming out ahead. And it's just the same as if they'd taken 26 cars off the road. So you can see there's some really big bang for your buck with projects like this.
Becky, before you share the next one, can I just chime in with a couple answers and then a question for you?
You bet.
First of all, this is not the orientation, just to clarify. If you have any questions, though, as to whether your organization is a member of the coalition or has attended the orientation, you can email me at coalition@adamah.org. And then the other question that we have, 2 more questions. Yes, you will get the slideshow and the recording. I've answered it a few times, so I want to make sure everyone has that. And then Becky, is this one grant per organization or per building?
That's a great question. It is one grant per organization. And what we encourage organizations to think about is bundling maybe smaller projects if you want to create something that's loan eligible. So it may be that you want to do a $5,000 project in this building and 10,000 here and 10,000 there. You're starting to build up a larger project that's where a loan could make sense and a grant, but it is one per organization. In our FAQs, we do indicate that organizations can apply for more than one kind of project. It is highly unlikely that we would award one organization 2 grants for 2 different projects. And so we encourage organizations to think about the one that is best aligned and most impactful with our criteria and to apply for that one. And there's more nuance on that in the FAQ. Any other questions?
Before you go back, we will finish the presentation and then we'll open up to more Q&A. So we have at least 15 more minutes to do that. So think about what you want to ask. Either way, you will get everything, as Stacy said, from my email, and you are welcome to email me or the coalition or both of us. We will all be here to support you. Go ahead.
Yeah, great. So I just want to share another lighting retrofit project real quickly. This is to just give you a sense of what the scale of these kind of projects can be. This was from a congregation that spent about $60,000 on a lighting retrofit, and they actually got both a loan and a grant from us. They got $22,000 in rebates from their local utility, and they're saving $10,000 a year. And one of the things we want to talk, I want to just mention here is there's not sacrifice happening. There can be this idea that climate change and taking climate action means like compromising. All these organizations are experiencing either improvements or invisibleness from the changes that they're making. No one's sitting around in the dark. They're having improved lighting, increased comfort in their buildings, and saving money. It's just win-win-win all the way around. And and then the last one I want to share is a solar project. Westchester Jewish Center, out again in your area. They did a tremendous rooftop solar project, over $500,000. They are getting a $100,000 loan from us. They were able to get state rebates and the federal direct pay at around $400,000. And so they are coming in very, very well on this. They're having saving around $59,000 in their electricity every year. This thing is paying for itself in 2 years. In 2 years, $59,000. That's a whole FTE. Someone, you could have a whole new staff person for that instead of sending your money off to the electric company. And so we are thrilled to have organizations be achieving this, and they are super proud of themselves as well. We love when organizations are bragging about what they're doing, and in fact, it is one of the requirements of this grant that you are making sure you let your community, those around you, know about the work that you're doing. And Westchester did a beautiful 5-page spread in their Voices publication on environmentalism and Torah and highlighting their energy efficiency work. And so I just wanted to show you that example, and we can share many other things like that. And in a minute, we'll go to questions, but I just want to highlight that all the information about the coalition is at this address. If you're already a coalition member, you know how to get into our coalition website, if you've coalition member website, if you've attended our orientation. Coalition@adamah.org is where you can reach Stacy to find out more about joining the coalition or getting sorted out with orientation. Of course, there's Shahar, and then there is myself, and you can connect with all of us in those ways. That will all be in our follow-up email. And with that, I will turn it over to Shahar to moderate any questions and conversation we may have. And thank you again so much.
Thanks, Becky. This was great. You can use the raise your hand if you want to talk to us or put your questions in the chat. The first question we do have here is, what is a new project? If a project is in planning but contract's not signed, is it eligible?
If it has not started, it can absolutely be in planning. You couldn't apply to us if you weren't having it in planning. We want to know a certain amount of information from you. You need to have been planning this and be ready to move on it if you get this grant. So it makes sense that you would have already done some fundraising for this, that you've gotten we require 2 proposals from contractors. So that tells us that you're very much planning it. But if you have a signed contract, if you have already started it, essentially what that tells us is that you've already been able to figure out how to pay for this. And while we wish we had tons and tons of money, we don't. We have limited funds, and this is one of the ways that we try to ensure that we are sending it to the organizations who need it most. That is the thinking behind that. If that feels like an arbitrary requirement, like, that's really the thinking there, that it's organizations who are like, we'd love to do this thing, but we don't have all the money that we need to do it. And if we get this grant or get this loan, this is going to enable us to do this project. That's the niche that we are trying to fit in. But absolutely, you should have had a lot of planning under your belt by the time your application is submitted.
Shahar, before you get to the question in the chat, I got a private question, just confirming that no projects that start before November 8th could be included for the grant.
I feel like that's the question that we just answered. So
Okay.
the project cannot have started, and the application deadline is November 8th. So if it's started before November 8th, it's not eligible.
A question here. Are you able to recommend companies that can help us write the grant proposals, especially the federal grants? I would not even know where to start.
I'm not sure what that question means. I'm not sure if they mean write the grant proposal. You'll be writing your own. Do you mean the contractors or?
Federal grants.
So I'm still not entirely sure what that's asking. Could the person who asked that clarify what their question is verbally, please?
Andrea, do you want to?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so what I'm trying to ascertain is, for example, we just applied to for security grants from New York State and from the federal government. And in order to do that, there was a very extensive process of you had to sign up for certain websites and get certain kinds of vendor numbers, and then there were forms that needed to be completed and all kinds of information, and it was much more than I could do on my own. So we hired a company who specialized in these kinds of grants, and they walked us through the process, and they helped us complete the applications, and they fine-tuned everything, and they just held our hand. So like the one from Westchester that got a big federal grant. Where are those grants? How do we find them?
Great.
What's the process? And are there companies that can help us? Because even if it costs something, if you can get that much money, it pays to pay someone who's has a specialty in it that knows how to do it. You'll have a better chance of getting the money.
Yeah. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, I won't speak for Shahar, but it may be that there is support to understand things that are available in your particular geography that are unique to you guys, that will complement the kind of projects that you're looking for, and that information will certainly be shared. Federally, there's something called the Inflation Reduction Act. And the Inflation Reduction Act did the amazing thing of making tax credits that companies and individuals had access to do solar projects, but were previously not available to nonprofits. The Inflation Reduction Act made them available. And those are 30% reimbursement or rebates, or they're using the terminology direct pay, to cover your solar project. So if you have a $100,000 solar project, you will get $30,000 from the Inflation Reduction Act. This is guaranteed money. You do have to apply for it after your project is done, but as long as you're doing an eligible project, you will get that money. We refer people to the Inflation Reduction Act website. We can point you to the exact right places you need to go to do this. We do not do that work for you. What we can do is our team is boning up now that organizations are starting, who've received and are doing solar projects, are starting to apply for that. Our team is building up knowledge about that process. And one of the benefits of being in the coalition is we can connect you with others who've already gone through that. I just did that yesterday, in fact, connected one synagogue in Los Angeles with another synagogue in more Southern California, one who's already is 80% of the way through the process and the other one who's about to embark on it. And they're teaming up together to help each other out with that. It is not the kind of thing where you need to hire an external company to apply for. It's not like a federal grant in that way. It's getting essentially a rebate. And for some of these there's a thing called Renewing America's Nonprofits. And so Shahar could understand what options are available through that for the New York area. That's a federal fund, but they allocated money to regional hubs to disperse in different regions. And so you can learn about that. And that is for things like efficiency and lighting retrofits and projects like that. That would be another source. And there's a hub that is designed to support applicants through the process. I will also say that we run webinars ourselves for coalition members on these topics. And so we do a whole 1-hour webinar on how to fund your projects, all the resources that are out there. Part of the time is spent on our Climate Action Fund, but part is spent on these other things as well. So I hope that addressed some of that concern and question.
And I will add that in our previous webinars, and please go online to Adamah New York webpage and you can find them. We had one webinar on financing climate action with experts from the city, but that covered way beyond the city. And the second webinar we did, I want to say in June, featured Bonnie Hagan, who is also on the call, who walked us through some of these processes, and she's an energy expert. I encourage you to go there. There is ample information of how to go about it. And yes, if you need experts for hire, there is that too. We don't, we're not a private entity, but I can definitely help you think about how to go about it and identifying experts for you. But I would start with looking at those 2 webinars specifically and the slides and links that go along with it. And then if you still need it, absolutely, beyond the coalition and every and all the webinars that they also put out and explaining of how to go about financing your projects. Yeah, I will send links to the webinars too. Any other questions, anyone?
Hi, it's me again, Andrea. I don't know where to raise my hand, so I hope you don't mind. I don't mean to be rude, but
You're
I guess
fine, great.
what I'm trying to figure out is, for example, like what is I know that you said that you give grants up to $10,000 and it has to be matched at least dollar for dollar, but what is the largest grant that's available that we can apply for? Not a loan, but a grant. What would that be for? Would that be for the solar plan?
Would that be for what you cut out at the
I
last?
know it sounded like the solar panels might be one, but that's through the federal grant reduction.
Through Adamah's Climate Action Fund, the highest grant available currently is $10,000. And there's lots and lots of resources out in the world available to various types of organizations. And we don't know all of them. I couldn't tell you what sizes they might be or things like that. In our Climate Action Fund, $10,000 is the highest grant available.
And the loan is up to 100,000.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Hi, my name's Joanna. I haven't received my login details yet for the website. Is that something that's coming soon?
Joanna, what organization are you from?
Park East Day School.
Okay, let me go ahead and I'll message you in the chat. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Can I ask a question, please?
Hi, Stephen. Yes.
Thank you. You mentioned that there's one grant per organization, not per building, in case we have different buildings. When you say one grant per organization, is that one grant per project? Meaning if we wanted to do, for example, a solar install or an electric retrofit or an AC, would that be $10,000 for each one, or for all the projects collectively?
It will be one grant per organization. On your end, you may find, if this is a matching grant, that one of those projects might not be up to $20,000 and wouldn't max the amount that we're able to award. So you might want to bundle 2 or 3 of those together so that you have at least a $20,000 budget and could apply for the maximum amount. But we would not fund multiple grants to the same organization for different projects. In that event, we would, if you have multiple projects, we'd encourage you to pick the strongest one that you have and apply for a grant for that. You may also apply for loans for other projects, and that could be the same or different. You may decide we'd like to apply for a grant for this 1 or 2 things, and we want to do a loan for this really big thing over here. And so if you really have multiple things going on, I can definitely, that's a great use of our one-on-one consultation time, where you can sit with me and say with more concretely, like, we have this and it costs this much, this and it costs this much, this and it costs this much. Help me decide what I should apply for, how to bundle it, where I should apply. Be very happy to chat with anybody about how to make the most sense out of that. But there will only be one grant per organization, no matter how many projects and applications you might want to submit. We would only award one of them.
Thank you, Becky. And that would be one grant per year, right?
This is a grant cycle we have here. What I'm going to ask you guys to do is I'll knock it out of the park so we can come back to UJA, show them how much demand there is, what an incredible ROI they made with these dollars. They will grant us more money, and then we would love to offer this in the future.
Thank you.
Deborah, please.
Yes, I have a similar question, which is that this is the regional grant for New York that we're talking about today. And
Yes.
there was a national similar grant with a deadline that was in May of 2024.
Yes.
Will there be a national grant like that again with a May 2025 deadline? And can we apply for both the New York grant and the national grant?
So in the November 8th cycle, there are 3 funds open. There's the loan fund, the New York Grant Fund, which is what we're talking a lot about today. And then we also have another regional fund for Orange County, California. Tell your friends in Orange County about that. And our North American Grant Fund, which did run in the past, has been fully depleted, and we have not yet adequately fundraised to reopen it. And my crystal ball is broken, and so I'm unable to tell you when that will open again. We would love to reopen it pending funds available, and but at this time, you guys are in this precious space of being eligible for 2 of the 3 funds, and that is not something most coalition members can say. And so we want to award these, and also we expect it to not be super competitive, in that your pot is relatively small, and that's in terms of the eligibility pot is relatively small. The number of organizations available to apply are in a very specific geographic area. And so in the North American Fund, we'd have over 300 coalition members who could apply to that. It's a fraction of those who are eligible for this fund. So I really hope you'll take this opportunity seriously, because I think, you know, if your project is eligible, meets our criteria, and is strong, like you're well positioned to receive a grant. Any other questions? We've got another minute. I know, Shahar, you probably need to close this out. I'll just emphasize that we are available to answer your questions. And I just encourage you, as you join the coalition, go look at those FAQs. We really try and make it so that your questions can be answered without needing us. We want to make this accessible. to you. So go read those FAQs, and if you still have questions after that, after you've read everything on the website, read the FAQs, we are so very happy to talk to you. But also, no, you don't need to wait for us. The answers you may need are right there waiting for you in a lot of cases.
Thank you, Becky. Last call for a last question, if anyone has it. All right, so with that, I want to close our session for today. This was wonderful. Thank you, Becky, again, and Annette, Javi, and Stacy for being here and supporting. We are very excited about this opportunity. We launched it. Some of you have seen it on E-Jewish Philanthropy with a full article. There is a lot of interest, and many organizations are joining the coalition. And this is just one resource that the coalition might provide for you. There are so many ways to engage, and the most important thing is to get started. Start thinking about it, start reading about it, start realizing the different ways with or without this fund that your organization could take the needed steps to do the right thing, and it feels so good to do the right thing. So with that, thank you, everyone.